For the graded wash for the ground, you can make the ground whatever color makes sense for the environment in your painting. So you can do brown, you can do greens, you can do yellow greens, you can do whatever makes the most sense, okay? I'm gonna share with you what I mixed on my palette lid right now. So I mixed sort of a combination of green and yellow into a wash on my palette lid. So again, I just added the water there, pulled some green pigment, pulled some yellow pigment, mixed it together, and I am going to test it out on my scrap piece of watercolor paper real quick. Remember, we want to test the tone before we apply it, just to make sure it's what we really want for our graded wash. Okay, for our ground. This color right now looks pretty great. I do want to intensify it a little bit, so I'm going to go back real quick and add more of both colors. So I'm going to try and add a little bit more yellow, and then I'm going to try and add a little bit more green real fast and make that wash a little bit more pigmented. Okay. Okay, let me mix it up and then let me test it again, okay? All right, what do we have? What do we have here? All right, so that's a little bit more substantial. So it's not quite the green that's out of the palette. I tried to mix my own green there. I could even add a little bit of brown to it if I want, make it more natural. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do at this point, now that I'm okay with that tone, I've tested it out, I'm going to go ahead and apply my water, okay? So my water, remember, for the graded wash, what you can do is you can add the water to make it a little bit lighter towards the horizon line, okay? So I'm going to add the water closest to the horizon line, and then as it goes down the middle section here, I'm going to let off. This bottom part is actually going to be completely dry. All right, so I'm gonna control the amount of water that I'm using right now. So as I pull out my paintbrush from my water, I'm gonna tap off the excess from the side. I'm gonna apply it closest to the horizon line. Okay, now if you are like me and you just finished the graded wash for the sky, just a real quick reminder, leave that little strip of white. Okay. So I'm adding minimal water from the horizon line down because I want to be able to control my graded wash. So I'm going to add it on this side as well. And you can probably tell that my paper is starting to get a little bit glossy at this point. All right. And again, I tapped off most of that water on my cup as I was pulling my brush out. So right now, this down here at the bottom is completely dry. I'm going to go ahead and grab my pigment from my palette lid. So I'm grabbing this right up here, and I'm going to apply it at the bottom of my painting. And I'm going to go towards my horizon line. Okay. So bottom up. Again, I'm using my larger scale round for this, just because I'm covering a larger space. And notice how I get closer to the horizon line, it's getting lighter. So things in the distance often look a little bit lighter than things in the foreground. The foreground will always look a little bit brighter. All right, and as I'm dragging it into that water, it's lightening up. Again, I'm leaving that little small strip of white. Actually, this is looking okay. And remember, you can always thirsty brush it if you need to suck up any sort of pigment that you don't want or need. You can also go over this wash a few times if you need to intensify it. I would say more than 3 is probably too many. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more of this darker green toward the bottom. Oh no, I pulled some of that off. Ah. All right. So at this point, I think I'm good with this for now. You can see it goes gradually dark to medium to light, lightest towards the horizon. I would probably prefer that down here is a little bit more intense, a little bit darker. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I could go back and change it. This is the graded wash for your foreground.